And welcome to the Metal Mixtape here on KSKQ's 89.5 FM Ashland, Oregon, 94.1 FM Medford, Oregon, and streaming online on kskqdjramo. I am beyond excited and absolutely honored to have an absolute legend that insanely inspired me as a kid. I mean, I used to wear the baggy shorts as a kid. Dude, you guys influenced me so much. We have SEN from Powerflo and Cypress Hill. What is up, brother?
My brother, I'm good, man. Thank you for that great introduction, man. And I'm glad that we were able to influence you in a little bit of way to, wear the garbs like that, man. But yes, I'm good, man. Thank you very much. How are you?
Dude, I'm great, man. You know, I think that anytime I have an opportunity to talk to somebody who's accomplished so much in their life, has accomplished a lot of dreams, it's great just to hear from somebody like you that has like this perspective. And I hope through this interview we get to inspire a little bit, learn a little bit, and also, we're gonna talk a little bit about Powerflo.
Right on, man. Let's get to it.
All right, brother. So since this is our first time talking and everything, I do want to get some first questions out before we start talking about Powerflo, which I have a ton of questions to ask about Powerflo. But dude, one of the things I want to know, Sundog, is that like you have so many inspirations that you pull from, and so many things different that you've done in music. When was that first moment as a kid where everything kind of snapped for you? Did somebody hand you a vinyl? Did you go to a show? Did you see somebody perform music? Like as a kid, when did it first click in your head that like, man, I love music?
You know, in my family, it was always musical around. I come from a musical family, back in Cuba, and my mom was always, singing around the house. And my father he would teach himself a new instrument every year. It was wild to watch because he went from like the flute to like the bass to like the drums to organ. Like it was incredible, right?
Wow.
So we always had that influence, but he wanted us to be baseball players, my brother and I. And I think around 11th grade, I kind of lost that hunger to play baseball. So I was going to like these things called ditching parties where you ditch school and you go and drink beer and get stoned and whatnot. And there I heard a song by Run DMC. I think I was in 11th grade, and they had these cool guitars going through it and whatnot, man. And it really got my attention. So that next Saturday, I go home and I put on Soul Train, and there's that group I just heard of, Run DMC, performing on Soul Train. I'm like, wow, but they got their gear on, man. These guys look killer, you know what I mean? And it dawned on me like right there. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I didn't know how to do it or how I was gonna get to do it or anything like that. It just when I saw them, the hats, the chains, the leathers on, and everything, I was like, whoa, and that just opened me up right then and there, for sure.
Do you remember your very first time ever on stage?
On stage, I can remember on stage, yeah, kind of. I can remember the first time that I ever rapped in front of an audience. It was like at a quinceañera.
Hell yeah. Oh, you'll say.
You know what that is? Yeah. And then I think my first time on stage, I think it was like I was like a background mover. I don't want to say dancer, but for my brother Mellow Man Ace, and he was performing, and I was doing like the moves in the back, kind of thing. And then I remember, I think one of the first times I got on stage was with Cypress was at like a talent show that I think a radio station was putting on in California, and you had one song to prove yourself to see if you could get like somebody's attention to, take you in the record or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I did my verse, man, and we were already Cypress Hill at that point, when I did my verse, I jumped up on the judge's table and I rapped my verse on there, right? And then when I was done, I went to get off and the table collapsed in half and all the drinks and shit spilled on the judges and all that. So needless to say, we didn't win that at all. And I kind of got yelled at by one of the judges or whatever. But I think it showed like this unharnessed like power that was sitting there waiting to be unleashed type of thing from our crew. And that's later on, that's what I took from it from that. But I think that was like one of the first times that I ever, performed as, with Cypress.
I love it, dude. I love it. Do you remember your first big concert with Cypress Hill, where like maybe you're looking at your cousin, you're looking at everybody, your bandmates, and you're looking like, holy crap, guys, like this is a really big shot for us. Like, we've never been in front of this many people. Maybe a little bit of anxiety or excitement comes in. Do you remember like your first big shot? Maybe you opened for somebody big you liked, where like you kind of looked around at your bandmates and you're just like, okay, guys, like this is it. Like this is where all the hard work went towards. Do you remember your first big concert like that?
Yeah, I think it was like in '93 or something like that. And we were in Europe, and we did this festival called Puckle Pop, and we were there doing our own tour, but there was like some festival dates in between, and this was just bigger and more bizarre than any nightclub like as we had been doing. Now it's like a full-on big-time festival, and I remember I was about to puke on the side of the stage when I walked up there and saw the actual size of the audience. I was like, oh wow, I'm getting dizzy, and I was just like, man, this is incredible. And all throughout Europe, there's festivals like that, with just, big in size, And then I forget if it was I think it was '94. Woodstock, the second coming of Woodstock came calling, and I said yes right away, and we went up there, and when we were up there, and I don't know how to explain the seeing 500,000 people in one event,
Oh, I just brought it up on YouTube. That's insane, dude.
Yeah, and we were definitely young, and I definitely felt like, okay, we're here. This is it. We made it. It was being telecasted around the world too, on television and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is it. This is, pretty big monster show here. We got to go, represent and all that. And I just, and that show to me to that point was like the biggest show we ever done at that point.
That's absolutely incredible, dude. What was some of the lessons or things you had to battle through, like going from like small artists to like big artists? Because I know you have to get used to the road. There's the challenges of like influences, good and bad influences on the road, things like that. Was it a big change for you when like Cypress Hill started popping off and it's like, oh man, because I think I don't know if it was Eddie Van Halen or somebody said it. They're like just once you get your fast car, you have to learn how to not crash it.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the big things for me was definitely the whole life on the road thing, and kind of like going where the band is wanted type of thing, and it was hard for me to adjust at first. And I think that was the big thing that I had to learn how to deal with, was the adjustment of, being SEN from Southgate, California, and I had a bunch of friends over there and whatnot, to now I'm SEN dog, and I kind of belong to the world. And it was a lot of culture shock and new experiences, new foods, languages. Went to places where they didn't put ice and soda, they just gave it to you warm. And if you asked for ice, they would give you like one ice cube, you had to drop it there type of thing. And it was all brand new, man, and I had to learn how to adjust to that. And I kind of, I think that I went into a depression from, being on the road so much and just being in different countries where I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And I kind of went into a depression to the point where I had to seek out a therapist to help me, process my thoughts, because it was just so much, right?
Yeah.
And that's the person that made me see like, hey, you belong to the world now. You're not just from your hood anymore, okay? And you have to get used to that. And if you want to be something in this business, and the therapist straight told me, if you don't like it, then quit and go back to UPS and flip boxes. So I definitely didn't want to do that. So I just went and learned how to take things a moment at a time, a day at a time. Don't think about next week. Think about today, getting through today. Mm-hmm. And then the process of doing it over and over, going to different countries and having to take these long plane flights and all that, it helped me. It made it it normalized it for me to the point where I wasn't like, wishing I was somewhere else.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. I mean, just with everything going on, I mean, that's great that you seek some help and able to balancing out, because it's like you said, you belong to the world now, and now that you're like in the spotlight, and did you ever have to stop yourself from like having opinions once you started getting bigger? Because you know how like when you get bigger, you have a bigger voice, and right now there's like politics and AI and immigration and all this stuff going on. Like, do you ever just bite your lip and go like, man, I'm a musician, or how do you go about that? Because I know as a bigger musician, it must be kind of a struggle, because like you don't want to put your bandmates in a bad spot either and all that. Like how do you get used to that about like just kind of keeping low profile?
Well, you actually have to go through it to understand, like, as far as other musicians goes, right?
Yeah.
When you go into like this happened to me. I went into a radio station and they played me a song by another artist who that radio station thought was kind of like imitating our sound, right? Mm-hmm. So I heard it. I think for the first time I heard it, and I was like, yeah, it sounds like it sounds like us. You know what I mean? And I think 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes later, the lead singer of that band called into the radio station shouting at me. And I'm like, oh man, I just said, they asked me a question and I answered it, whatever, If you want to make something more about it, we can meet up or whatever, hash it out. And I learned right away really quickly that a lot of people don't take well to criticism.
Yep.
So I kind of like, I left it there, right? Mm-hmm. So from that point on, what do you think about so-and-so? Unless another artist says something, disrespectful about me or what I'm doing with my band, I would address that. But if you're just asking me what I think about this band and that band, mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, they're cool, and I learned that to get signed is a job in itself, right?
Yeah.
And then now you're out there making money selling records, and that's not an easy thing to do. So I learned, like, whatever people are doing, hey, it's cool, man. Keep going forward, because it's a hard thing. This thing that we do is a hard thing, and anybody that could do it, I take my hat off to them. That kind of thing. I don't. And even today, if I'm the same way today, you know what I mean? So, as far as politics goes, I've never been much of a politician. I've never been into that. But I always feel like, you're told one thing, and then another thing happens down the line. So I don't have a lot of trust in politics and whatever it is people are trying to put down your ear type of thing. So I tend to stay away from getting political on any kind of record that I do. I have other views and opinions on stuff. So, and I think, if you word those words and opinions correctly, it will become interesting to listen to. So by all means, and I give respect to those people that are anti-government and do take that stance and deliver that message. That takes a lot of guts and courage to do as well. But for me, I would just, there's a whole other side of music that needs to be explored aside from that. And I think at some point or another, people want to just feel good without having to, be hit in the head with a particular message over and over again about what makes this other person unhappy. So I definitely, I'll stick to my lane, and I like to make, what I call feel-good music type of thing in whatever version I'm doing it. It's always sometimes it's just me and my little head trips that I write about.
Yeah.
And things like that. So I definitely, I'm going to stay that way forever.
Hell yeah, dude. Before I'm going to do one more question before we get into Powerflo, and we'll do the second half of the interview with Powerflo. Does the new AI stuff scare you? And let me give you an example. Now, you're able to generate lyrics. Now, you're able to generate beats. Now, you're able to generate art. Like, to the point where you can make anything a rap song. You could create all these beats. You can create all this art. And back in the day, man, it's like you had to do everything from scratch, you know, and really sing from your heart. Does this whole new technology generation ever kind of? I mean, I don't think it'd freak you out because you have an established career with Powerflo and Cypress Hill. But do you ever worry about the future of music in the next generations?
Yeah, I do, especially with the AI thing. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, you know, you could generate whatever you want, you know, out of that format, and it doesn't even have to be. It could be the voice of the artist, you know, that they maneuver around and come up with things. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like, you know, music has always been a creative process. You make something out of nothing that was there before, and it came from human beings. You know, not a system of like AI. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like you definitely have to take it for what it is. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I think the best music comes from human beings, actual human beings that, you know, sit down one day and write a song. And that's where we've gotten our most influential music to listen to is from people. And I think it should remain something that people do, as opposed to like conjuring up something, you know, like we just spoke about.
Yeah.
It definitely makes me. I'm glad that I came from, you know, from the era where we were recording on 2-inch tape, you know, back and forth, you know what I mean, type of thing, and we were coming out on cassette and CDs and things like that. I'm glad that I lived through that, because it's given me a whole other perspective on, you know, on what I'm doing here now today. It definitely gives me a sense of pride that, you know, we never had to use AI to come up with a song or anything like that. You know, what we make is what we make, and it's, you know, it's authentic, and it's real. It's something that has substance. You're getting another person's feelings, you know, on a tape. You know what I mean? It's organic, and I like that.
Fuck yeah, dude. No, I feel you, dude. I appreciate that. Dude, Powerflo, badass, dude. I think it's awesome that you're in a band with Billy and Christian, which are absolutely awesome. I looked more into like Fernando, and that guy's an absolute monster. And so, dude, so I looked up, you know, that the band started around like 2016, 2017. But tell me, were you already friends with like Billy and Christian and all that? Did you already have like a group of musicians you wanted to play music with? Like, where did the idea come up to just like create this powerhouse and this superhero team of a band, which is Powerflo?
Yeah, I was already friends with Christian and Billy, because Billy and Biohazard had me on a song, I think in '93 or '94 or something, called That's How It Is. Right? So I had met them already, and I was more friends with Evan Seinfeld at the time than I was with Billy. But I had met all the guys, and they were all great. And of course, we had toured with Fear Factory, and that's how I got to meet Christian and whatnot. And, you know, Christian's a regular down there in the Venice Beach area. People know him. So from hanging out, you know, we met and we became, you know, buds. But I remember I was coming home from touring, and then I was just coming home. I wasn't doing anything. So I reached out to a friend, a guy named Roy Lozano that played in a band called Downset.
Yep, I have him right here. Yeah, Roy.
Yeah, and he was doing another project with somebody else, with a guy named Neil. I think it was called Cutthroat. And I was like, man, how can I get me some of these tracks, you know, whatever. So he goes, okay, man, well, I got a guy named Josh Lynch, and he writes, he makes tracks, whatever, and this and that. I'm talking to him about it. So Josh eventually sends me a track through Roy, and I start writing. I think the first song I wrote was Resistance, and and then we got like, you know, a bunch of material done. When I start thinking, man, I think I'm gonna need a band around this, because it's really coming out really heavy, and I don't. The other way I would think about doing it would be with a DJ, sliding with a DJ, but like, since you said, you know, I got a lot of friends in the industry, so I reached out to Christian, and he he was recovering from a horrible motorcycle accident that he had.
Yeah.
I went to his house to see him in Venice, and I played him the material that we had, and for some reason he thought there was two singers on it, and I was like, no, bro, it's just me. That's all. Everything you hear vocally is just me. And I don't think he really wanted to do anything at that point because he was just down and out kind of. But I got his interest out of him, and he said, once his leg was better, he could move around. That, he'd come in and hang and see what was up, And then all of us were talking about Billy, and so I went to Billy, who I had worked with, sporadically here and there on other projects that he was producing, and they wanted a rapper in there. So Billy would get me in there, and I would rap on some, stuff from Europe or South America or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew that Billy was in there producing stuff, right? So we went to Billy, and he was funny about it, man, because first he said yes, and then he changed his mind and said no, and then he said yes again, and then he said no again, and then finally he came back and goes, yes, I'm down. I go, okay, I'm going to hold you to it now, okay? This is it. You're in, right? So as soon as he became a regular, and him, having his own professional studio and producing stuff, it seemed like the production of everything just started ramping up, and we were, now we're doing music more often and type of thing, and so that's how we came about, that's how I came about those guys, and then we had been looking for a drummer, and I heard about Fernando Schaefer, I think through Roy Lozano, and I went on tour with Cypress to Brazil to go perform out there, and I went into a magazine shop, and there was Drummer magazine, and I picked it up, and guess who's on the cover? Fernando.
Wow.
So I made a call back to LA, and I'm like, hey, get a hold of this guy, see if he wants in or whatever, and he was always willing, he was always down to try something new, so that's how we got him involved on that first album. And now I have a lineup that is set and ready to go, and so we went from there. And I can honestly say that like the first few jam sessions that we had, to me was really good. So I some of my best friends that I grew up with, since like 1980, who I still hang around with, and I trust their musical influence, their musical, what they like in music. So I said, hey, come to this rehearsal I'm going to have over here, and let me know what you think. Don't say shit, act like you're there to party. We'll talk later. But they were like, this is really good stuff right here. Like, you guys are, hitting on all cylinders. So that gave me the more confidence to, keep going forward with it. So it was that's how it all came about. Kind of like organically kind of a thing, and reaching to some of the guys that I had met through the industry, through doing shows with and recording with. That's how that all came to be.
That's badass, dude. Yeah, because Guerrilla Warfare slaps, dude. This is a badass.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah. I played it through my JBLs in my car system, dude. It's like the best way to listen to this music, dude. And
what's funny about that is that I did one of those songs for some other artists with Billy, and in the end of that rap, I said something about guerrilla warfare, welcome to the jungle, and then I come out of the vocal room, and Billy says, you're gonna have to figure out a different ending, because we gotta use that for our record. That's a killer line right there. So I rewrote another little ending, and then proceeded to write guerrilla warfare with Powerflo, with Billy, and then that's how it came about.
Dude, I love it, dude, because like there's a lot of like modern sounds in this too, you know what I mean? Like when I was listening to the album, and then I got down to like War Machine, and I was like, dude, like it's new. I mean, it has like old school elements, but it sounds very modern too, Like I feel like it really fits in with like the flow and the music of right now. But dude, I mean, of course I love it because you're speaking real facts, dude, and like you said, you're trying to motivate people to be strong, stronger and all that, and resilient and fight back, dude. And I think it's great that you found this other outlet, dude, because, you know, I do like you. I do like hearing you in Cypress Hill, but it's cool seeing you really hit all these avenues, almost how your buddy was like, is this you? Did I hear two voices? You know? So,
Yeah.
so for me, listening to a Powerflo, man, was like really eye-opening and being like, dude, like, I don't know, dude, like, life's busy. I don't have time to pay attention to all these things. I got kids and stuff. And when I was able to sit down and actually, you know, because when I listen to an album, everything's off. I'm on my computer. I got my headset on and I got my notes. And I was like, dude, like it's really badass that how seamless of a transition you made from Cypress Hill to Powerflo, and how kick-ass this lineup is. And just great job, dude.
Oh, right up, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I go. I think I go as far as the guys that are with me and how far we're willing to take it, and their opinions. You know what I mean? On the first record, you know, it's kind of like a rap record. On this record, you know, they wanted to go harder edge type of thing. So I went with, you know, I kind of went with like their advice and their influence and whatnot, and that's the product that we, you know, that's guerrilla warfare what we have today.
Hell yeah. I don't want to cut into the other journalist time, so I'm going to ask you two fun questions, just super quick, and then we're going to end the interview. In a zombie apocalypse, if you could have one weapon to destroy the zombie horde, and it can't be a nuke or the cure, what is your one weapon?
Wow. I don't know, man. I guess it'd have to be a sawed-off shotgun or some kind of gat.
All right. What is the one artist that you listen to that Powerflo fans and Cypress Hill fans would not expect that you listen to?
Ooh, good question, man. I would say, you know, Gojira or something like that. That, you know, that really slaps. You know what I mean?
I got a good question. What did you think about the influence of their performance at the Olympics?
I thought it was great, man. I really did. I thought it was great from a guy that loves heavy metal, and you know what I mean. And it's never really been showcased at the Olympics, like, you know, like Gojira. You know what I mean? So I thought that was just great for the, you know, the movement and the overall recognition, and you know, having seen them guys live on stage and whatnot, to see them, you know, play the Olympics, I was like, yes, perfect. It was really good thing.
Awesome. Dude, Sendog, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. You know, I do these things, and you know, it really means a lot to me, dude. I'm always here to support you, and everybody who's kind of be listening to this interview, go support Powerflo, the new album Guerrilla Warfare, which is absolutely freaking slaps, dude. Sendog, before I let you go, can you say this is Sendog from Powerflo and Cypress Hill, and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape?
Yeah. Yo, what up? This is Sendog from Cypress. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
One more time. Yo, what up? This is Sendog from Powerflo and Cypress Hill, and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape right here.
Yeah, dude, you are the man. I love you, dude. Have a great day, great rest of your interviews, and I can't wait to keep following you, and all success.
Thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it, man. Peace out.
Peace.